It's been almost a month since the release of OP07, and although we don't have big tournaments like the Championship Qualifiers or Grand Asia Open Tournament, we do however have many shop tournaments as well as standard battles and flagship events all across Asia. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you top popular decks that are currently being ran in the OP07 metagame, and also I'll be including 5 deck lists for each of the leaders that I'll be sharing today. In total, there will be 3 leaders. Firstly, we have Enel, followed by Gecko Moria and Red Purple Law. So the reason why I'm sharing 5 deck lists for each leader is because from there you can identify the core cards for each deck. Then you can identify tech cards for each deck, and lastly is for your own reference in case you are missing out on some cards to build the deck. So at least there are a couple of alternatives for you to look through in terms of deck lists. I will be putting up a similar video to this on more popular decks that are currently being ran in OP07. That will be for later this week, so that is something for you to look out for. So let's start off with the first leader we have here is Enel, and we are looking at this first list. I believe this is a 3v3 tournament where the team got first. So what did Enel receive in OP07? The most obvious card that they receive is in the form of 10 cost Ace. Effects will be on screen. So 10 cost Ace acts as a 10 cost Big Mom for Ace deck. And aside from that, they also receive Raigo, which is an event from EV01. It helps to remove big body threats, and as Enel, you typically are at 1 life. So getting rid of a body, basically a red rock for yellow, is really strong for this deck. And the normal shenanigans of healing is really strong. The resiliency for this deck is strong as well as the variety of triggers you have in the deck. So that's the first list. Here we have next one. It's rather similar, but this list is playing the Nami. The previous list wasn't running Nami, so that is something to look out for. And you can identify some of the core cards, which is 4 Raigo, 4 of the 0 cost event, and 4 Yamato, Katakuri, Big Mom, and they're starting to tag in Sabo as well. And of course 10 cost Ace is the main boss card of the deck. And we are starting to see Sabo as a form of removal, especially we are seeing a lot of blockers being played right now in the game. And Frankie is also a good trigger card, which allows you to draw 1 card and play it down when you're at 1 life, which typically Enel will be at 1 life most of the time. So that's your second deck list. This is your third deck list. So rather similar. This list is playing Onami as well, and it's also playing Okiku for 3 copies of Okiku, and opting to play 2 copies of Raigo. But other than that, everything seems similar. Like you see the Flampe being played at 4, Frankie at 4, Big Mom, Katakuri, Ace and Yamato. So a fairly standard build for Enel. Okay, this is our 4th deck list. Again similar, but this one is playing the Hiyori and also Rush Ace, which is good. Okay, what I'm seeing here is it's playing a rather Rush variant because we are seeing 4 Enel as well. And other than that, yeah, it's similar. So this Enel basically just replaced the 7 cost Big Mom. And other than that, everything else seems to be similar. So if you want to play Enel in OP07, you definitely need your Yamato, Katakuri, and your 10 cost Ace. Next will be our last list for Enel. So everything is slightly, yeah, it's more or less similar, except this one is playing the Shirahoshi blocker. This blocker is good because if it's KO by effect, you get to heal 1. So your opponent has to navigate it really carefully, so no random Rob Lucci to KO your blockers. And apart from that, again similar, we are seeing the 7 cost Big Mom, Katakuri, Yamato, Ace. So that's all for Enel, a really strong and consistent deck. Next we have Gecko Moria. So a flash from OP06, Gecko Moria is really strong, being able to recur cards from the trash and cycling through them, and of course being black you can reduce their cost and KO them using your Epsilon. And also being black means you can play the Gecko Moria. Okay, so here we have the first list, a really standard build where you see them playing Navy cards along with Thriller Bug. And an interesting inclusion recently that we are seeing in Gecko Moria decks is they are including Isho, 8-cost Isho. In case you forget what it does, if it has a Dawn attached to it, reduce all of your opponent's characters cost by 3. And on play, if your opponent has 6 cards or more, they trash 2 cards. So it's a really strong card comboed with hand destruction like Perona's first effect. And let's not forget about the 8-cost Gecko Moria. It's really strong, being able to bring back 2 characters and even plussing more of that one 8-cost play. Okay, next we are moving on to another deck list. So rather similar, as you can see, they are including Isho, and also this one has more Ice Age. Other than that, it's the typical Thriller Bug plus Marine stuff, and of course 4 Sabo. Next list, the third one, nothing special, still similar. We are seeing 2 Isho and the Rebecca Lucci Hina combo as well as Gecko Moria. Okay, so yeah, so far the list has been really similar. Next is another Gecko Moria. This one is playing Stussy. The new card from OP07 is really good. It just basically KO one of your opponent's character by trashing one of your own. So it doesn't activate any KO effects, but it's good because it's a 9-cost 9k body which removes any threat. Typically you want to do this on your opponent's 8-cost character or more. And lastly, we have this build which is using Isho and no Stussy. So really standard, if I would say. Most of the cards are core cards. The tech cards are typically, I would say Isho is a tech card and Stussy is also a tech card as well. So that is something to look out for. And for the west side of the TCG, if you are planning to play Gecko Moria and OP06, so just be glad that OP07 Gecko Moria will still be viable, and most of the cards that you are playing in OP06 will carry over to OP07, except for the Meteor Impact. Next, we are moving on to Red Purple Law. Red Purple Law is an interesting deck where you control the board which has tempo, but at the same time you are playing characters down, so there is a form of aggro. And in OP07 they did not really receive much support, but they did get the new Sanji, which is a 6-cost blocker and also a 2k counter, but its effect is if you have 2 downs lesser than the opponent, which is typically what Law will be experiencing, so its cost become 3, so you can play it off your Law's effect. And here is the first list that I want to show you. So some of the core cards will be your Race Max, Gordon, and then in EBO1 they did get a lot of new support. By a lot I mean 2. They get Born Clay, really strong card to help ram as well as becoming possibly a big attacker. And the Kid and Killer Rush character, really strong. When your opponent is at 2 life or less, it becomes 7k on attack. And aside to that, this list is playing Zoro Juro. I'm seeing some lists not playing Zoro Juro. No big bodies in this deck, just pure rush. Really strong deck. Moving on to the next list. This one is playing Zoro Juro, but this list is playing slightly different by including the Ace as well as this Rush Zoro. So these are tech cards that you can include in your deck. You can see some of the core cards includes like the Race Max, Gordon. Yeah, I would say Born Clay is a staple in this deck. And of course, Reiju. Reiju is really important. When you play Red Purple Law, your hand usually gets really low, so you need to draw into your Reiju to replenish your cards. And this 4-cost Law is also really good now, because if you're playing against Enel usually like to hop their cards in their hand, so that's a way for you to discard their cards. Playing 4 copies is really good. Next, we are moving on to the third deck list. This is similar to the previous one where they are running 2 copies of Ace and 2 Zoro. Other than that, everything is fairly similar, but this one is also including the 3 copy of Radical Beam, so some form of defense. For our 4th deck list, we have again similar, but this one is not running this one is not running Zoro, but instead it's running 2 Ace and only 2 of the 4-cost Law. And finally, for the last deck list, we have this one that is blinked out. Yeah, no Zoro as well, no Rush Zoro, but it's playing 2 copies of Ace. So I'm pretty sure from the 5 deck lists that I just shared with you, you can identify all the core cards for Red Purple Law. So if you're interested to play Red Purple Law, I think it is slightly expensive because of the Gordons, and as well as the Bond Clay, you need 4 copies of it. But aside to that, I think this is a really strong deck. So these are the 3 decks that are really good in the OP07 meta, and I'm always seeing them topping events, top 4 in flagship, winning flagship event, unofficial tournament, top 8, top 4. Yeah, so if you're interested to do well in OP07, try these decks out. That's all for this video. I'll be doing something similar to this video but for 3 other leaders that are really popular and always topping events in OP07 metagame. So do keep a lookout for that. And once again, thank you for watching this video. I know I haven't been uploading for the past few weeks, but I intend to continue my schedule as of today. So thank you for your support, and also if you've enjoyed this video, do consider giving this video a like and consider subscribing to the video. Let me know in the comments which deck you are interested to play when OP07 comes to you. And also follow me on Twitter for more One Piece TCG content. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.